Right there. That's the whole con in a nutshell. That's the story they sell you, when the real story is about the wages they refuse to pay. Man, you hear it everywhere, don't you? Nobody wants to work anymore. They keep telling you there's a labor shortage. It's a lie. It's a carefully crafted lie designed to hide the real reason your paycheck feels like it's shrinking. And this isn't new. This is a 75-year-old blueprint designed to do one thing: break your power. So let's just cut through the noise. Let's be real clear about what's actually happening. There aren't missing workers, there are missing wages. This isn't a labor shortage, it's a wage shortage. And it's not some skills gap, it's a solidarity crisis. And it was manufactured on purpose. To really get why you're working harder for less, we got to go back to the scene of the crime. The year is 1947. This is the year they literally made it illegal for workers to stand together. See, right after World War II, working people, they knew their power. In 1946, more than 2 million of them walked off the job. We're talking coal miners, auto workers, railroad workers, the whole nine. They didn't just strike their one factory, they shut the entire country down to demand a fair slice of the pie. And you better believe the people at the top were terrified. So, what happens when people get power? The bosses, their politicians, they hit back hard. They passed a law called the Taft-Hartley Act. The president at the time, Truman, he vetoed it. He called it what it was, a slave labor bill. But Congress didn't care. They forced it into law anyway. And this was the knife they used to just gut worker power. They made something called a secondary boycott illegal. Now, what is that? It was everything. It meant that if some company was treating its workers like garbage, the truck drivers could refuse to deliver their stuff. The guys on the docks could refuse to unload their ships. The entire chain could put the squeeze on a bad boss until they did the right thing. Taft-Hartley made that a crime. And just like that, the number one rule: an injury to one is an injury to all. It was gone, replaced with a new reality: every workplace fights alone. They turned a unified struggle into a million tiny battles they knew you couldn't win on your own. But they weren't done. Oh no. Once they made it illegal to stand together, they had to make sure we'd fight each other. And to do that, they pulled out the oldest, ugliest trick in the American playbook: racism. They cooked up these things called right to work laws. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Right to work. It's a lie, a straight up lie. What it really means is the right to work for less. It lets people get all the union benefits, better pay, safer conditions, without paying a single cent in dues. It's designed to starve the union of money until it just withers and dies. And you want to know how they sold this poison? This is a direct quote from the lobbyist who pushed these laws all over the South. They went to white workers and said unions would force them to organize with, and I'm quoting here, black African apes whom they will have to call brother. They used the most disgusting racism you can imagine to break that bond between workers, because that was the plan all along. Smash any union where black and white workers stood together, keep them from realizing they were fighting the same fight, all to preserve a low wage system built on segregation. So, did it work? You bet your ass it did. Let's follow the money. Let's look at the receipts from this whole heist. Back when we could stand together, 1 out of every 3 American workers was in a union. Think about their power. And today, after decades of these attacks, it's barely 1 in 10. And our bank accounts feel it every single day. Just look at this. This chart right here. This is the whole damn story. Since the late 70s, how productive you are, the amount of wealth you create with your labor, has more than doubled. It's gone through the roof. But your pay, it's basically flat, up less than 1%. So where'd all that money go? Because it sure as hell didn't go to you. And don't you dare think this was some accident of history. This was a war, a relentless attack. It's an unbroken chain, from Taft-Hartley in 47 to Reagan firing all those air traffic controllers in 81 to the Supreme Court gutting public unions a few years back, all the way to today, where they are literally bringing back child labor. This ain't just history class. This is your life right now. We're going to talk about Amazon, we're going to talk about Iowa, and we're going to talk about you. So, what does a 75-year-old law have to do with you scrambling to pay rent, with that knot in your stomach at the end of the month? Everything. It looks like the gig economy, where they call you an independent contractor so they don't have to give you any rights at all. That's the final form of Taft-Hartley. It looks like states like Iowa letting companies put 14-year-olds to work in meatpacking plants instead of just paying adults a living wage. And it looks like what Amazon did to its workers in Bessemer, Alabama, a mostly black workforce who tried to organize. They waged a full scale war of intimidation until the vote came back no, 1798 to 738. But here's the thing they never count on. Here's the most important part of the story. Through all of this, the fight never stopped. And at the very heart of that fight, then and now, you will always find black workers. I am a man. Look at that. In 1968, black sanitation workers in Memphis carried these signs. This wasn't just about money. This was a demand for basic human dignity, a fight that Dr. King himself went down there to support, and where he ultimately lost his life. In that fight, it never, ever stopped. From those integrated unions that scared the hell out of the segregationists back in the 40s, all the way to the organizers in that Amazon warehouse today. Black labor has always been the place where the fight for racial justice and the fight for worker justice meet because they're the same damn fight. Labor leader Roger Toussaint put it perfectly. He said, other movements, they get it. They know power is never given, it's taken. He said, they have not forgotten that the agent of change is struggle and resistance. We forgot that. It's time to remember. So the next time you hear someone say labor shortage, you call it what it is, a lie. The real problem is a solidarity crisis that they created. If you want the full story, all the receipts, and the history they don't teach you in school, go to reflectivemvs.com. Subscribe, get the truth the news won't give you.